Hello everybody, this is going to be just a really quick overview of chapter 5, which talks about the scale. So a scale is a series of musical notes, ascending and descending, and they always begin on tonic. So a tonic is going to be the first note of any key or any scale that you have. So if we start on C and go to the next C, that's a C scale, and tonic is C because that's our home note. That's what I like to call it, is our home note, because it sounds to us like, oh, we've made it back to where we're supposed to be. But there's two kind of scales that we talk about in this chapter. The first is a major scale, and that is a series of 8 notes that begins and ends with the same note, an octave apart, and follows the pattern as follows: whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. Sorry. So just those steps is what makes up a major scale. So the minor scale is a little different in steps, but your textbook shows you, it actually does use the C scale on page 78. And the C major scale has no sharps or flats, so it's kind of easy to see those in here. So you have a whole step here and a whole step here, but then a half step between E and F, and then another whole step between F G, G A, A B, and then a half step to get back to C. So that's pretty much any major key you're going to have. That's going to be the pattern for it to be defined as a major scale. So G's the same way. So except this time, to get that same pattern, we have to alter this note right here. So to have that last whole step before a half step, we have to add F sharp. So that's why you learned those your sharps and flats at the beginning of this chapter, and also your whole and half steps. So let's keep going to the next page. If you guys want to go ahead and complete that activity 5.1, the in-class activity, I think that would be helpful. So that way you could see what the whole steps are and what notes you have to alter. So for example, the D major scale, the first whole step would be from D to E, and then the second whole step would be from E to F sharp, because remember we have to skip that F. And then the half step would be from F sharp to G, or yes. So same for A major and E major. So reach out to me if you have any questions about that, or if that's confusing. So down here, figure 5.3 shows you a C major scale going up and going down in both the treble and the bass clef. So the next page goes on to a minor scale. So the pattern for that is actually whole, half, whole, whole, half, whole, whole step. So a little bit different than the other one. The natural minor scale is what your textbook talks to you about, is a series of 8 notes containing this specific pattern of whole and half steps, and that's what I just read off to you. You can memorize that. It said you'll need to memorize that pattern, so, and that may take a minute, but go ahead and you can take a look and see you can go ahead and take a look and see the relationship between these notes. So from A, natural minor doesn't have any altered notes, so you can just go straight up and straight down. If the scale is descending, the pattern works backwards. Yeah, so you just flip it. But anyway, so from A to A, just like we have C to C, has no sharps and no flats. The difference here, we have a whole step and then a half step between the second and third note. The third and fourth is a whole, fourth and fifth is a whole, fifth and sixth is a half, then whole for the last two notes, or last two steps. So that pretty much covers this chapter. Oddly enough, it's other than relative major and minor scales, and that starts on page 83. That's basically how our keys and are related to each other. So we've got so I said C major and A major are related because they have no sharps or flats. And the way that you find that is you can take 3 half steps down from whatever your tonic key is. So let's say we're in C major, and that's the major. So if this, you have to go down, you have to start with the major key. So C major scale, you start on C and then go down to B half step, B flat half step, and then A. So that's 3 half steps, and that gets you to your relative minor scale. So same thing with, I think it shows you here on page 82, the E natural minor scale. To find my relative major, I'm going to go up instead of down. So up to, let's see, E to F, half step. So we got to do 3, remember. F to F sharp, that's our second one. And then F sharp to G is our third. So that's how you can find the relative minor scale. Not sure, I think that's how your textbook is showing you that. But every key is like that. You can find it that way. For this week, you guys will have a midterm exam along with your just textbook assignments. I'm not going to make you guys do another quiz on top of the midterm. And you'll also, I think that's it. You also have an extra credit review. So that's just on page 85 here. Just fill that out, and then I'll add extra credit onto your grade for the midterm exam. So get that completed this week, and as always, reach out to me if you have any questions or if I've messed something up, because I know I've done that. So I appreciate you all being patient with me on those things. So anyway, have a great week.